A sneak peek at the next generation of the Porsche Boxster. The designers have spared no effort to create a truly new and distinct model of their popular mid-engine roadster, without breaking the sense of continuity with the previous two generations. This open two-seater has a lightweight body and a thoroughly redesigned chassis. The most striking changes are the lighter weight, broader footprint, larger wheels, and 6 centimeter longer wheelbase. The Boxster's new look is due mostly to its changed proportions, the considerably shorter overhangs, for instance. The front windshield has been shifted forward, giving the car a flatter look. The new Boxster's front is dominated by the outsized air intakes with elongated headlights integrated into the sides. The familiar seductive curves contrast with sharp contours for a striking visual composition. Another design innovation is the extendable rear spoiler, whose lines extend all the way to the taillights. The soft top doesn't need a folding compartment lid. It can be completely extended or retracted automatically within 9 seconds. The interior is now more ergonomic and spacious. The new Boxster has been given a raised center console as part of Porsche's new overall design concept. Porsche combines such familiar features as the tonneau cover with new ones like the coasting function. It disengages the drive shaft from the engine entirely when the driver lets up on the gas. The dual-clutch transmission opens both clutches and helps save fuel in the process. There's one other quite simple way to go into coasting mode. Porsche's Helmut Wiedmeyer says you can manually activate the coasting function just by shifting 2 or 3 gears above the maximum usable gear. So if you're driving in 3rd gear, you just shift up to 4th or 5th and the tachometer will drop off and you're coasting. We tested the 232 kilowatt Boxster S with its maximum speed of 277 kilometers an hour, an optional PDK dual-clutch transmission. In Sport Plus mode, with launch control, the Boxster S can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 4.8 seconds. Porsche claims up to 15% more fuel efficiency for its newly retooled engines, achieved in part by the auto start-stop, the coasting function, and the Porsche dual-clutch transmission. But the 8 liters per 100 kilometers the company promised can hardly be expected from the driving style the Boxster was made to accommodate. Saving fuel is not a top priority, but driving fun is. Helmut Wiedmeyer says other steps taken to enhance the driving experience, the handling, are the electric power steering and the PTV, or Porsche Torque Vectoring, which we expanded through a targeted brake override that gives the vehicle greater agility in curves. The dynamic gearbox mounts also make the car sportier to drive. The Boxster is at the lower end of Porsche's range with a starting price of just over 48,000 euros in Germany, while the sportier Boxster S with PDK costs nearly 62,000. BMW presents the i8 Concept Spyder, the third model from BMW's new sub-brand that focuses on sustainable mobility solutions. The open two-seaters powertrain is a 96 kilowatt electric motor, plus a 164 kilowatt internal combustion engine. On a full charge, the i8 Spyder can drive 30 kilometers on electric power alone. Renault has unveiled the next-generation Megane. New options for the compacts are a camera-based lane keeping system and a high beam assist. The thriftiest diesel is the Energy DCI 110 Eco, an advanced version of the 1.5-liter turbo diesel with nearly 81 kilowatts and fuel consumption of just 3.5 liters per 100 kilometers. The Audi A6 Allroad Quattro is a station wagon that would soon get bored with suburban streets. The third-generation off-road version is based on the A6 Avant. More than 140,000 A6 Allroad Quattros have been sold since they debuted in 2000. They're elegant and technologically well-equipped, but not afraid to get down and dirty. Audi's Andreas Finke says you wouldn't have any problems driving the Audi A6 Allroad Quattro on very rugged or uneven surfaces. Here you have various standard equipment features at your disposal, for example the hill hold control and the incline indicator that the driver can refer to. All A6 Allroad models have permanent all-wheel drive. As soon as one wheel starts spinning, most of the power is instantly shifted to the other axle, up to 70% to the front and up to 85% to the rear axle. As an option, any engine can be fitted with a sport differential that actively directs the power to the rear wheel, which needs it the most. Audi offers a choice of 4 V6 engines, 1 gasoline and 3 diesels for the A6 Allroad. We tested the performance of the 180 kilowatt diesel. It produced an impressive 580 newton meters of torque. Audi's Thomas Pisek says, as you can see on this car, we have stainless steel underbody protection both in front and back. We have premium steel rocker panels on the sides and redesigned roof rails. Those are the optical touches to the exterior. Standard on the Allroads is the adaptive air suspension that allows vertical movement of up to 60 millimeters. That's 3 to 4 millimeters more than the Avant has, and we have ground clearance of 181 millimeters. Striking about the A6 Allroad's appearance are 23 slats running vertically down the grille. The combination of metal molding and contrasting dark matte surfaces brings out the wild side of the otherwise so respectable hardtop. Wheel arch extensions beef up the Quattro's shape on the road. The A6 Allroad only comes with automatic transmission. The gasoline-powered model and the 2 smaller diesels are equipped with a sporty 7-speed S-tronic transmission, and the biggest diesel with an 8-speed Tiptronic, optimized for fast shift times. Both gearbox versions are high-tech, with the transmissions receiving data about road conditions and course from the navigation system. They factor in upcoming curves, and they're not as quick to shift unnecessarily back and forth on narrow streets. The standard multifunction steering wheel uses roller controls to operate telephones and audio devices. A glance into the cockpit doesn't reveal all that much about the Allroad. Experienced Audiphiles will spot the larger inlays. The controls are laid out ergonomically. The standard Drive Select dynamic system and the flexible air suspension trim the chassis and body as needed. Buyers have a choice of seats, comfortable or sporty. No doubt the A6 Allroad is fun, but when and where can a driver try out its full potential? A trip from the city to the country might be the ticket, or a trip from the country to the city. The Zeithaus Museum in Wolfsburg is a treasure trove of vintage and classic cars. This time around, our tester Christoph Bauer has chosen a real revolutionary to race around the curving roads of Tuscany, the Golf GTI. The standard Golf didn't set race car drivers' hearts ablaze, but the three letters GTI changed all that. They revolutionized the compact car market for Volkswagen, for Germany, and for the world. As our test driver says, the Golf became the successor to the good old Beetle in 1974. It was the time of the oil crisis, when driving was even banned on some Sundays in Germany. The VW board was convinced that 70 horsepower was enough for a Golf. The Scirocco was the sportier line in the VW fleet back in 1974. With its more aerodynamic form, it promised maximum speeds of 175 kilometers an hour. The Golf, by contrast, was intended to appeal to VW's traditional customer base, thrifty, down-to-earth drivers without a sporty bone in their body, and no particular penchant for the passing lane. Christoph says some engineers started tinkering around with the Golf in their spare time. They started to develop a prototype more or less on their own. 2 years down the road, after a few successful test drives, the sporting version of the Golf was officially commissioned. Nowadays, every child knows the abbreviation GTI. GTI stands for Gran Turismo Injection, a synonym for motorsport. The first version was the most popular one, with sales of 461,000 vehicles over 7 years. Christoph says it's still pretty nippy today thanks to its 110 horsepower engine and a weight of just 860 kilos. The chassis is a good compromise between sportiness on the one hand and comfort and safety on the other. VW places a lot of importance on safety. This sticker asks drivers to remain belted in until the motor has come to a complete standstill. Cost was also an important factor. The development of the first GTI cost just 7 million West German marks. The 1.6-liter engine was originally built for the Audi 80 GTI. Back then, the Audi plant in Ingolstadt was responsible for developing all of the company's motors. Christoph says that VW then became focused on breaking through the 180-kilometer-an-hour barrier, and that proved tricky at first, probably because of the air drag. But they came up with a simple and practical solution, the front spoiler. As a result, they could proudly announce top speeds of 183 kilometers per hour.
Spitzengeschwindigkeit 183 km/h.
But this front spoiler, which made such a splash in the mid-1970s, isn't the GTI's only trademark. Christoph says little details have earned the car a big following, such as the oil temperature gauge in the center console and the plaid pattern on the sport seats, like in the Scirocco. And he says the iconic Golf ball gear shift warms the hearts of drivers who appreciate sportiness and dynamism. On the outside, too, VW had to show that the GTI was no regular Golf. So Christoph says the front spoiler, the red bordered radiator grille, and the black trim were features of the GTI until the mid-80s. And of course, the wing extensions. 175mm tires came as standard, but the GTI had room for ones as wide as 205mm, like the Porsches of the time. Who was afraid of the big bad Golf? The competition, that's who. In 1976, the car cost less than 14,000 Deutschmarks and could go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 9 seconds. But for many owners, that wasn't enough. They pimped their GTIs for all they were worth. They loved to tune the GTI's 1.6-liter engine with its Bosch mechanical fuel injection. Thanks to these amateur tuners, the price to insure a Gulf GTI remains high to this day, because the car didn't just become a favorite of responsible and well-educated young people. Christoph says mainly in small towns it was very popular to soup up the GTI with spoilers, wide tires, sports suspensions and seats, and naturally big bass speakers. After parading in front of the local disco, the car would occasionally wind up in a ditch. Christoph says so original first series GTIs are real rarities. The sheet metal used to make the cars wasn't always top quality, which has also led to the demise of many GTIs. So anyone looking to acquire one of these groundbreaking sports cars for the masses should do so soon. Christoph says, as of the mid-1970s, sporty cars weren't only produced in Zuffenhausen or Maranello, Italy. They were also rolling off the assembly lines in Wolfsburg. The GTI had started the trend towards sports sedans, so the GTI definitely deserves to be called a milestone in automobile history. With its compact form, front-wheel drive, and impressive performance, the GTI didn't just prove a winning recipe for VW. The first GTI created a whole new market segment in the automobile industry.